Before I get into the character, just to explain, this is a race happening in 1994, this is before my character's F1 career, and actually before Formula 3000 season. Formula 3000 starts in less than a month, and one of the higher ups in the team knew a guy who needed a driver for this race. I'm driving Spanish Ferrari Club's Ferrari 348 GTC LM alongside Alfonso Di Orleon, and yes, he's a part of Spanish royal family. We have 19 cars on the entry list for this race. It is much lower attendance than the opening round at Paul Ricard, but the Venturis from One Make Cup that bolster the numbers have been moved to a support series. Strandl has fielded a Ferrari F40, which is an absolutely amazing machine. Conrad and Freisinger both have one car each in GT1 class. We have 4 Venturis, 2 500 LMs and 2 600 LMs. 964 Turbo SLM from LARP competition that has won the previous round at Paul Ricard is once again here, and they are looking for their second win of this championship. Although it is a championship without a championship, which is kind of weird. Our Ferrari is in a GT2 class alongside with one other car, so as long as we finish, we have a guaranteed podium. After that, we have 7 cars in GT3 class, mainly different versions of 964s, but Henriksen has brought something interesting. They have 968 Turbo RS, and last but not least, 2 Porsche Carrera Cup cars in GT4 class. As I previously mentioned, that gives us 19 cars for this 4-hour race around Jarama. See you in qualifying! Cool thing about this job is being able to enjoy some sunny Spanish weather and drive a Ferrari around the track while still technically being on the job. Of course, not everything is as beautiful as it seems. Our Ferrari is not that great of a car. Even though we are technically a GT2 class, we are still slower than probably most of the GT3s, if not all of them. Jarama is the track that you need quite a lot of experience to drive on, because as you can see in turn 1 there is camber, but that's the case for honestly the entire track. See, that's another camber. If you don't use it, you will go off and probably crash the car. And since we are driving for a team that is owned by someone who's a part of Spanish monarchy, maybe let's not do that. This turn, called Pegaso, is actually tricky on cold tires, and I wouldn't recommend going flat out through there on your first lap. This is a Ascari, which is a flat out corner, but it leads into this thing. This is by far the trickiest corner on the circuit, because when you are braking, you lose all the grip you had on the rear tires. It's a downhill corner, and the weight distribution honestly wants to kill you. We are approaching Bugatti S's, for which I don't have any braking points, I just kinda raw dog it. Only thing I'm trying to do is attacking the curb as hard as I can. Now we have Monza, a corner I simply cannot figure out. So to keep you safe, I'm not sharing any tips. Now we see the final corner, that's tunnel, that one also has camber, and flies you straight to the start-finish line. 136.1. I'll take it, good bunker. Sadly, my second lap was rendered useless after I've done this. It looks cool on camera though. And after that, I boxed for a quick refuel and changing the tires. And now is the time for the second pair of flying laps. We are approaching Fangio, and someone could argue that I missed the apex. And he would be right. Clean through Vardsea. You need quite some talent to mess this one up though. Now it's time for Le Mans, and we go quite nicely through there too. How I will handle Farina? Quite nicely actually. So besides missing the apex in turn 1, quite good sector 1. And that is reflected by the time we gained 3/10. Clean through Ascari. A little wiggle on the entry into Portago. That will cost us some time. Now Bugatti S is quite conservative. I could probably use some more curb, and yeah, we lost 2/10 by me both not using curb and that little wiggle in Portago. But happens to the best of us, and I'm not even close to them. Monza! The noise of tires screeching says a lot. The only corner remaining is the tunnel, and there's improvement to be made there. But sadly I repeat the mistake from my first lap. And that lap time is a slight improvement. 16th place, honestly much better than we thought after practice, but we still have one lap to go. This time I did not miss the apex by entire continent in turn 1, much needed improvement. absolutely on the limit through Varsity. Nearly I went on the grass. Le Mans went like usually. Farina too, this might be a good Sector 1. I honestly thought it's gonna be more, maybe actually missing the apex in turn 1 is the meta. Portago, oh, a little lockup. That will cost us a little, but if I manage to use more of the curb on the left into Bugatti S's, we might recover that time, and I did. Both wheels on the curb, 1/10 gained in Sector 2. Now, if I'll be lucky, we will gain some slipstream from the Porsche ahead, although they are much faster on the straights, so I don't think I will keep up, but we have to try. If I don't manage to miss the apex in tunnel, this might be a nice improvement, but we don't hit apexes here. Now we just have to get the slipstream from Porsche ahead and pray for the biggest improvement possible. Not great. Sadly, after that amazing lap, the car overheated, and that was the end of our qualifying session. P16 for us in the end. I'll take it. After practice, I didn't think we're gonna be faster than any GT3 cars, but we are faster than one, so nicely done. It is Trundle on pole, alongside him is the 57 of BBA competition. Behind them we have 42 of Conrad Motorsport and the 86 of LARP competition. Two Venturis in the third row, 56 of Rattle Racing and the 55 of Augusta Racing. Behind them we have 71 of Jacadi Racing and the 45 of Conrad Motorsport. Two Porsche in the next row, 47 of LARP competition and the 38 of Henriksen. 11th is Belm and 12th is 49 of Freisinger. 13th is Ecure Biennois and 14th is yet another Freisinger. Scuderia Chicoro in 15th and 16th is Ferrari Club España. 17th is 41 of Conrad Motorsport and 18th is 72 of Broistad. 46 of Crystal Competition closes the field. The duty of starting the car and doing the first stint fell on me, and to be fair, I'm inexperienced with flying stars. I think the 46 on the right jumped the start, but they are giving the positions back right away. Maybe they will avoid the punishment from the stewards. Even while in the slipstream we cannot keep up with the Porsches, but when it comes to the braking, this is where Ferrari shines. I could probably squeeze on the inside of 49, but it's the first turn of a 4-hour race, there's no point in doing that. Now we have a much safer opportunity after the field checked up. He seriously has to let us by before Vardsey, otherwise he lands in a gravel trap. Whoops, never mind, I was mistaken. And that car has 100 liters more fuel than us. Now he has the inside line, but maybe we'll get better exit. There's an opening on the outside, but that will be tough to pull off. Yeah, that didn't work out, and now the 50 has a look on us, but thankfully he backed out. 49 ahead has a massive moment, but we are too far back to capitalize on it. His rear steps out once again on the entry into Bugatti S's, but we are just too far back. Now it tries to have a look on the 968 Turbo of Henriksen, but it compromises its exit, and that pushes it into our striking distance, which I try to use into turn 1. Well, that was optimistic, but there's a lot of squabble going on before Farina, which we might be able to use. Unfortunately, even with 100 liters of fuel less, we simply just don't have the power needed to overtake. Maybe this time! Yeah, not. And now, rather than looking forward, I have to look behind me. Car number 50 takes the inside and overtakes us. Not for long, however, because into Le Mans I take the inside and regain the position. It wasn't over though. He tried to have a look down the inside. He failed, but we also made slight contact. Let's watch a replay of that battle. I left him plenty of room. I don't want any incidents on the opening stint. I had a way better exit, so I was able to keep up with him into Vardsey, force him on the outside, and then launch the attack down the inside. After that, he goes for a crazy dive bomb, and that's where we made contact. In my opinion, he was a little over-optimistic, but as long as nothing happens, I don't care. That's racing. Next lap though, we have identical fight. He goes down the inside in turn 1. I let him. I know I have to build a gap big enough to be safe on the straight on the rest of the circuit, but I have much better exit. I'm able to keep up with him, and as soon as Le Mans comes, I'm going down the inside using the camber, and I regain my position. Or at least I thought I will, because he's still fighting. He goes defensive into Farina, and I cannot do anything about that. The leaders of the train I'm currently in are fighting for position. In fact, the 41 almost lost it under braking while trying to overtake the 34. Now we have to wait to see if he runs away from our little train. While going into Bugatti SS, the 38 car loses it. That's the Henriksen Porsche 968 Turbo in GT3 class. And with that we are in 16th position. Let's get a replay of that. He tries to go on the inside of the Bellem car, but loses the rear. Thankfully nobody has hit him while he tried to rejoin the track. He has to be thankful for that gravel trap that stopped him from going into the wall. Porsche started slowly slowing down and I was able to keep up with this little pack. And that's the 49 car! The 49 car has spun and hit into the wall. No idea if that was a mistake or a mechanical failure. He exits Monza and his car just yoinks to the left. Maybe going over the green curb has damaged the suspension. It took us 18 minutes to start lapping Porsche Cup cars. I couldn't decide where I want to lap the 72 car, but the Henriksen Porsche made that decision for me. I was rear-ended, I somehow controlled the car, and funnily enough, the Henriksen car actually gave me some breathing room with that one. I just didn't have the confidence needed to overtake him here, but as you can see, the GT old heads are just brutal. Another Carrera Cup blocked the number 50. I didn't expect them to both brake so early, so I absolutely sent it and somehow it worked out. The brakes in this Ferrari are just absolutely phenomenal. The stuff you can do with them. I mean, look at this distance. And with that we climbed up to 14th position. We are finally starting to make some progress here. However, a minute later I had my first real incident of this race. While preparing to attack the Scuderia Cicoro car, there were blue flags shown for a F40 that was lapping us both. Car in front went hard on the brakes and I just didn't have the time to respond. Of course, after that I let the F40 by. We cannot hold up our Ferrari brothers. As a thank you, he slowed down the 53, but I wasn't able to use that opportunity. At least for now. Because on the next lap I did my signature move into Le Mans. The camber really helps you with doing those crazy sends. But my luck continued. At Portugal the yellow flags were waved, which also held up the Bellem car, reducing the gap between us by 1.5 seconds, putting him right into our claws. And apparently that was enough to pressure him into making a mistake. He went wide on the entry into Bugatti SS, so I tried squeezing myself on the inside line. And we are going side by side into Monza, where I probably went too carefully and gave him too much space, resulting in him re-overtaking me. Unfortunate timing of blue flags meant I couldn't even try and attack him into Le Mans, but I could in Farina after he had done this. I went on the outside but he left me no space and we made contact. And also, if you look into the mirror, the 968 Turbo also bounced off my rear. The driver of the 34 does not let go easy. He has that fighting spirit in him. That move would have probably worked out on the 90% of the Porsches, but not him. That's shown in Farina, although I think that one was a little too aggressive from him. I cannot just simply disappear. That camera shows it better, that was a big squeeze. After I had a great exit out of Portugal, I tried to make a move round the outside going into Bugatti SS, but I wasn't brave enough. And after that, blue flags were waved, a Porsche was lapping us, and it pushed me onto this really awkward inside line. And after I tried accelerating, I spun the car. But thankfully I recovered quite swiftly, losing only one position in the entire ordeal. Looking back at it, I probably shouldn't have been trying to overtake him on the outside, and simply waiting for a couple of seconds would have worked out much better. Also, I had the exact same spin in practice, so once again I should have known better. That was a stupid thing to do. Thankfully, that didn't really cost us that much time, because I was only 1.5 seconds from the Porsches ahead, and then Henriksen lost it again! They seem to be having a really terrible race. Exact same mistake he has done earlier, although this time he didn't land in the gravel trap. The Bellem car really struggling through the twisty bits of the circuit. I have a look for it down in Ascari, That fails, but I try again in Portago, where he leaves me tiny bit of space, and I just go for it. It's so fun to battle with the 34. I feel like we are quite respectful to each other, and he's by far the toughest Porsche to overtake. Also, you can really tell that after the Enricsen Porsche rear-ended us, there was a huge change of mentality in my driving. We've been much more aggressive since then. But of course, we keep going. Remember that one Porsche that ran away from the pack earlier? This is it, this is the 41. He was fast enough to run away from other Porsches, but not fast enough to run away from us. Although he too is not going out without a fight. And with him having an inside line into Monza, overtaking him has to wait for at least one lap. He did the same defense as the Belm car. He knows that in around 3rd, 4th gear he's faster than us. Took a good defensive line in Monza, and we couldn't do anything. Our big Ferrari brother came to the rescue, however. He pushed him on the inside, and that made him an easy target. I dive bomb him, but once again I just cannot make it stick. And as soon as I go into the 3rd gear, he's faster than us and he has the inside. But once again a GT1 car comes to our rescue. That Venturi is lapping us. I let him by as fast as I can, in hope that he will overtake him in some awkward spot. That was partially the case. The Porsche slowed down and was an easy target into Le Mans. This time there was no way for him to put on a fight. Shortly before our first pit stop, I was greeted to this in turn 1. The engine in the 47 of LARP competition has gave up. He goes into turn 1 and there's just a puff of smoke right behind him. Although he probably could have moved into the gravel trap to make his retirement a little bit safer. And after 46 laps, this was the end of my stint. Now my teammate, Alfonso Di Orleon, will take over for the second one. I can simply wish him luck. 2 hours of the race just passed, so that means we are halfway through the race, and I guess you guys deserve to know who's where. Stranded 40 has over a minute lead over the Giacatti Racing Venturi. Third is the older Venturi, the 500 LM of Augusta Racing, which is currently 50 seconds behind the Giacatti Racing car. The best Porsche is currently in 4th, that's the Freisinger Motorsport car, and just 2 seconds behind it is the Rattle Racing Venturi 500 LM. The other 600 LM of BBA competition has run out of fuel, which means the race is over. We are in 7th, Alfonso is doing a good job. We have a gap of over 50 seconds on the leading GT3 car. We've been running alone in the class for some time. The other GT2 car has suffered an engine failure 44 laps in. Only 4 cars are still remaining in the GT3 class, and all the Cup cars are out, so the GT4 class is empty. Quite a high attrition so far, but now the race has calmed down a little. That's it, see you in my stint. I got in the car with 1 hour, 23 minutes and 30 seconds to go. 8th place, but not for long, because the car behind will overtake us before we exit the pit lane. It's not certain if we can go till the end. There might be fast splash and dash before the end of the race. And that's the 34 going past us, the Belm Porsche. Probably the last car I want to see right in front of me. I needed some time to A, warm up the tires, B, get back in the groove. Took me 5 minutes. But as soon as I did, I wanted to get it over quickly. We saw on the first stint how much time you can lose behind him. I never was confident in that corner, but we have to do it now. And he seemingly has nothing to respond with. And my luck with GT1 cars continues, because the blue flags for Venturi give us safety on the start-finish straight, aka the place where we are the most vulnerable. 10 minutes later, with the car ahead nowhere to be seen, I started conserving fuel. Because it's not looking likely that we catch up to the car in front. The Porsche behind is really struggling, so we are under no threat whatsoever. After doing that for 20 minutes, the gap between me and the car behind grew to 16 seconds. But between me and the car in front is about the same distance. But doing fuel saving is really boring. So I decided to go back into full push mode, because even if we run out of fuel, we'll most likely make the gap that will allow us to do a splash and dash without losing any positions. But of course pushing, with a little fatigue added, makes you prone to mistakes, and I did this. Now looking at it, this can be a really tricky corner, you just go straight into the gravel trap. And then this happened. I was starting to get really tired, and with no cars near me, I was really bored and couldn't concentrate. After 24 minutes of pushing, I had 10 laps worth of fuel with 20 minutes to go. So doing a splash and dash was almost certain. But then 10 minutes later, I've noticed that the gap between me and the car ahead is shrinking dramatically. And I didn't see any cars retiring. So my assumption was that the Porsches were also doing a splash and dash. But if we don't pit, we can gain a position or two. So at that point, extreme fuel saving was needed. That fuel saving made me so slow that I couldn't keep the car that I just overtook behind me. So we were back to doing a splash and dash. And doing one pretty soon. But then another Porsche boxed, and that one had much less time to catch us. So there was a chance to get P7 in this race. Of course, we are really low on fuel, but if we are lucky and the F40 finishes this race as quickly as possible, we might be onto something. So all my hope with 40 seconds to go and 1 liter of fuel was in the F40 of Strandl, which didn't seem to be in mood to finish the race. And I was really panicking in that moment. I decided to pull my car off the track and maybe do a pit stop and just wait. And that yellow car in my mirror is the car I overtook by not pitting. And that blue car is a Venturi, not an F40. So I decided to wait in my pit box till the race finishes, completely overshooting my garage in the process. And I didn't notice at the time that the car behind was 1 lap down, so there's no way for us to lose this P8. Only now I realized it, but that's the saving grace, the checkered flag. The F40 has finished the race. Now we just have to cross the line and get our P8 in the weirdest way possible. That's the end of 4 hours of Jarama. Now let's take a look at the final results. After 4 hours, it was Strandl who came on top. Their Ferrari F40 was unstoppable and it lapped its every competitor. Second was Jacadi Racing, and their 600 LM has proved its dominance over its older brothers. 2 laps behind it was the older 500 LM fielded by Augusta Racing. First car off the podium was once again Venturi 500 LM, this time from Rattle Racing. It has finished on the same lap as the car in 5th, the 964 Turbo of Freisinger Motorsport. It was also the highest finishing Porsche this race. GT3 class was won by Henriksen and their 968 Turbo. The Swiss female racing driver Lilian Brenner has carried Écurie Biennois to 2nd place in GT3 class. Our Ferrari has won its class, but of course we were only one of 2 teams that entered the GT2 class, and only we finished the race. In my book, it is still a win. The last car that finished the race was the number 50 of Freisinger Motorsport. The Belm car has retired after completing 141 laps, a sad end of the race for a team that has provided me so much joy while battling on track. And the rest of the DNFs are the same as in mid-race report, so there's no point in going over them. The only interesting fact I can provide to you guys is that LARP competition has entered 2 classes and DNF'd from both of them, and in the previous race they entered 2 classes and won both of them. So their luck completely switched on them. And of course LARP competition has won overall 4 hours of Paul Ricard. And as I mentioned, BPR is a championship without a championship, so there are no standings for me to show you guys. So I guess this is the end. Thank you for watching, have a nice day, nice Christmas. This was Brama, bye bye.